Look, don't put your money into a virtual bank unless you are prepared to lose them.
My account is restricted forever.
I'm serious, don't do that.
Revolut Bank has blocked my account for no reason.
In this video, I will tell you examples of N26, the Revolut, and I'll tell you a very simple explanation why you shouldn't be using virtual banks for any serious transactions and what you could do instead. Keep watching. So one of the biggest issues by far with online banks is your money gets frozen for no reason. And no, you're not doing a $10,000 transfers like you're a drug lord or you're doing some weird things. No, it could be £200 transfer. It could be a different transfer to a different country of a small amount under $1,000. And then boom, they lock your account and it takes forever to get it back if you're lucky. I know people with Revolut who had their money being frozen and they were asking for proof of income. Then Revolut said, your account is going to be closed. Goodbye. And they didn't get any clear explanations why. They just couldn't get access to their money. And that's a very, very common scenario. And that happens much more often than you could imagine. Why? What's the reason? Lack of anti-money laundering protocols. Because these are startups, these are smaller companies, these are not banks, they're not as well funded. So what it means is anti-money laundering protocols, you need to be checking accounts, and a lot of times those checks need to be done manually, plus in an automated way. But because startups lack funds, they do it in an automated way. Because of strict regulatory requirements and the desire to keep the costs down, what these startups do, they have to keep the money frozen for a certain period of time, for a long time, if the suspicious activity has been found. And a lot of these algorithms they run, they don't have a common sense factor because all of them are very much automated and they flag things that shouldn't be flagged. And there's no manual review often. And then when the manual review happens, you get stuck with a person from the support that knows very little because they are paid little. The turnover with those employees is very high. So it means that you get to chat on the app when your money is frozen for an indefinite amount of time with a person who doesn't properly understand things and they're just reading you the FAQ. And that's a problem. N26 and Revolut, they want to be safe because anti-money laundering, it's very serious. And if you get any fines, like N26 got, it's very high. It could literally bury the company. And N26 was fined 4.6 million euros by BaFin in Germany. And that's huge. Like for a normal bank, that's all right. And as a matter of fact, normal banks, they actually account for these things. Like there's going to be certain fines they have to pay because nobody's perfect. But for startups, they just can't afford it. So they're going to flag it much more often than a regular bank just to make sure they don't get into this situation. And if this happens to you, then you really don't have a place to go because it's a virtual bank. So if it's a lot of money and you don't have redundancy, you don't have a different account, then you're in trouble. It's a real problem. And so that is a very simple explanation without going technical, without going in depth, why I think virtual banks are terrible for really keeping anything above 500 euros or whatever amount you're comfortable with losing at any point in time. Even if you have all the documents, even if you're 100% legit and you're not doing anything ridiculous, it is expecting the worst case scenario. I personally, I only put 500 euros max into my virtual bank account. I use N26 just to keep the subscriptions going for my like $10 Spotify thing and other very basic subscriptions. And I would have a few physical banks at the same time because then you can actually go to the branch and get things fixed if there's a trouble. That very much depends which country you live in. Right now, I live in Portugal. In Portugal, a lot of times a bank will not send you the app of the bank, won't give you the confirmation for the large transaction, so you can't make the payment. So it's good to have a different bank to make sure that you can actually get that thing paid and you still have the physical branch to go to. But it very much depends on where you are. And again, not a financial advice, but a very, very quick take on virtual banks and why I think they're terrible. Thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing for tech content, not exactly finance content, but I mostly talk about tech. And I'll see you in the next one.